Someone in your life is running a play on you. Right now. And you're smiling while it happens. You think you read people well. You think you know who's safe and who isn't. But here's the brutal truth you've been dodging. Most people are not playing the game you think you're playing. They're playing a different game entirely. A quieter game. A slower game. And the rules were written by a man who died 500 years ago. His name was Niccolò Machiavelli. He watched princes rise and fall. He studied courts full of smiling vipers. He documented exactly how power is stolen, not with violence, not with shouting, but with subtlety. Machiavelli didn't write for villains. He wrote for the naive. He wrote this down because good people keep losing. And right now, you might be one of them. The person draining your energy. They didn't attack you. They arranged you. They positioned you like a chess piece. And you walked right into the square they chose. That's not their fault. That's a strategic error on your part. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Your weakness isn't a moral failing. It's a tactical one. You weren't born naive. You were never trained to see these moves. Nobody showed you the board. This video is the board. Stay until the end. Because Principle 7 is the one they never want you to know. It's the move that ends the game entirely. Here's what we're covering today. 1. The favor trap. 2. The false mirror. 3. The slow bleed. 4. The useful idiot frame. 5. The guilt anchor. 6. Information asymmetry warfare. 7. The exit that destroys them. 7 principles. Surgical, Machiavellian, and immediately usable. Let's go. Principle number 1. The favor trap. The gift that becomes a chain. Someone did something for you. They didn't ask. They just did it. And now you feel it, that invisible weight sitting on your chest. That weight has a name. It's called a covert contract. A covert contract is an unspoken deal. They help you without your consent to the terms. Then they collect later. On their schedule. On their terms. This is the favor trap. Think about it like a spider. The spider doesn't chase its prey. It builds. It constructs an architecture of obligation. Thread by thread. Favor by favor. And by the time you feel the web, you're already stuck. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince. Benefits should be conferred gradually, and in that way they will taste better. Read that again. Gradually. The manipulator doesn't dump obligation on you at once. That would be obvious. They drip it. A small favor here. An unsolicited gift there. I thought of you, text at exactly the right moment. Drip, drip, drip. Until the debt feels real. Until you feel the obligation even though you never signed anything. Ask yourself this question. Is there someone in your life who gives a lot, but always brings it up later? Who keeps a mental ledger you didn't agree to? Who helps you, then looks at you a certain way when they need something? That look. That's the collection notice. Tactical response. Watch the gift before you accept it. Ask, what does this person expect in return? Name the contract out loud. Say, I appreciate this, but I want to be clear. I'm not in a position to return this favor. Watch their face. A genuine giver won't flinch. A spider will. Never let the ledger grow. Return favors immediately and proportionally. Kill the debt before it compounds interest. When someone says, after everything I've done for you, that sentence is the trap springing shut. That sentence is the end of a covert contract. Walk away from anyone who uses it. But the favor trap only works if they know what you want. Which brings us to principle 2, the most chilling move on this list. Stay with me. Principle number 2, the false mirror. They became who you needed, on purpose. Think about when you first met this person. They seemed to understand you. Like really understand you. They liked what you liked. They hated what you hated. They finished your sentences. They reflected your values back at you in perfect clarity. It felt like finally, someone who gets it. But here's the question you never asked. What were they before they met you? The false mirror is a precision weapon. The operator studies you first. They identify your deepest needs, your hunger for validation, your craving for connection, your specific flavor of loneliness. Then they become the answer to all of it. Psychologists call this mirroring. When weaponized, it's called covert narcissism in its darkest form. Machiavelli called it something simpler. He called it knowing your enemy better than they know themselves. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. The false mirror operator is always the fox. They are never showing you their real face. They are showing you your face. Your idealized face. The version of yourself you've always wanted someone to see. And you fell in love with that reflection. Not with them. With yourself. That's the trap. Here's a pattern interrupt. Count to 3. Think about someone who seemed too perfect too quickly. Someone who agreed with you constantly in the early days. Someone who made you feel uniquely understood, uniquely chosen. 1, 2, 3. Are they still that person now that they have your loyalty? Or did the mirror crack once the hook was set? Tactical response. Test for consistency under pressure. Disagree with them on something small and watch. Real people push back authentically. Mirrors crack or immediately adjust to your new position. Introduce controlled dissonance. Change a preference you shared with them. See if they change theirs immediately after. That's not connection, that's mimicry. Ask about their past, not their present. False mirror operators struggle with deep personal history. They built the false self for you. They have very little behind it. Never reward speed and intimacy. If someone feels like a soulmate in 30 days, slow way down. Real depth takes time. Velocity in connection is a red flag, not a green one. The false mirror gets you in. But what keeps you there? The answer is uglier than you think. Principle 3 is the slow surgical drain you don't feel until it's almost too late. Principle number 3, the slow bleed. You're being drained, 1 degree at a time. Here's a question. When did you last feel like yourself around this person? Not the version of you that's careful. Not the version that edits what it says. The full version. Can't remember? That's the slow bleed at work. The slow bleed doesn't attack your confidence in one strike. That would trigger your defenses. It wouldn't work. Instead, it erodes. One small criticism disguised as concern. One slightly dismissive comment when you share good news. One, "I'm just being honest," that leaves you slightly smaller than you were. Day by day. Month by month. Until the person you were when you entered this relationship is almost unrecognizable to you now. This is identity attrition. It's warfare by subtraction. The hyena doesn't outrun the lion. The hyena exhausts it, nipping at its flanks. Never enough to end the fight. Just enough to keep bleeding. Until the lion lays down. Machiavelli understood attrition deeply. He wrote, "Never do an enemy a small injury, for they are like a snake which is half struck. It will strike back." But your predator reversed this principle. They deal only in small injuries. Because small injuries don't trigger retaliation. Small injuries trigger self-doubt. You don't fight back against the slow bleed. You start wondering if they're right. Tactical response. Document your emotional state baseline. Ask, who were you 1 year before this person? 2 years? Compare that person to who you are now. If you've shrunk, you've been bled. Notice the pattern of timing. The slow bleed operator strikes at your peaks. New job? They find the flaw in it. New relationship? They introduce doubt. Good news? They flatten it. Identify this pattern ruthlessly. Reinstall your old environment. Call the friends you stopped calling. Return to the hobbies they made you feel foolish for having. These aren't distractions. They are diagnostics for what was taken. Deploy strategic withdrawal. Pull back your emotional investment by 40%. Watch how they respond to the loss of your energy. A genuine partner will notice and adjust. A predator will escalate the criticism. If you recognize even one of these patterns in your life right now, hit that like button. Not for me. As a signal to yourself that you're paying attention. Do it now. Keep watching. The slow bleed weakens you. But Principle 4 explains why they need you weak. Because they need you to serve a very specific function. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Principle number 4, the useful idiot frame. You are not their partner. You are their asset. This one is going to hit differently. So prepare yourself. In every power dynamic, every relationship, every organization, every social circle, there are architects and there are instruments. The architects design the outcome. The instruments execute it, often without knowing they are. This is the useful idiot frame. The term comes from political strategy. The idea is clinical and brutal. Find someone with genuine loyalty, genuine belief, genuine investment, and leverage that investment for your own ends. They don't hate the useful idiot. They don't disrespect them. They simply categorize them. You are utility. You are a means, not an end. Does that make you angry? Good. Hold that anger. We'll use it. Machiavelli wrote in Discourses on Livy, "Men are so simple and so much creatures of circumstance, that the deceiver will always find someone ready to be deceived." Not a condemnation. An observation. The question is not whether people will be used. The question is, will it be you? How do you know if you're in the useful idiot frame? Notice this. You're always available when they need you. But when you need them, there are suddenly complications. You advocate loudly for them in rooms they're not in. but you've never heard them advocate for you. You understand their goals completely, but they seem strangely uninterested in yours. You introduce cognitive dissonance when you ask, if I disappeared tomorrow, how long before they move to the next person? Answer that honestly. Tactical response. Introduce reciprocity tests, quietly. Ask for small, specific help. Track the response. Not whether they help. Whether they help with the same urgency they expect from you. Stop volunteering. Wait to be asked. Watch what happens to the relationship when you stop giving it momentum. If it stalls completely, you were the only engine. Audit your advocacy. Write down the last 3 times you promoted this person. Write down the last 3 times they promoted you. The math will tell you everything. Reallocate your strategic investment. Every hour you spend being useful to someone who doesn't invest in you is an hour stolen from your own architecture. Redistribute it. Now here's where it gets truly dark. Because what happens when you try to leave the useful idiot frame? They don't let you leave cleanly. They use Principle 5, and it's the one that will make you feel guilty for protecting yourself. Principle number 5, the guilt anchor. They turned your conscience into a leash. You decided to pull back. Maybe you set a boundary. Maybe you said no for the first time. Maybe you just got quiet. And then it came. The look. The sigh. The carefully worded message about how hurt they are. The reminder of what they've sacrificed. The question, subtle, surgical, about whether you even care anymore. And the guilt arrived like a flood. Because you're a good person. And good people feel responsible for the pain of those close to them. That's exactly why this works on you and not someone else. The guilt anchor is not deployed against callous people. It's deployed against the empathetic, against the conscientious, against people who take their relationships seriously. Your virtue is the weapon. Your conscience is the leash. This is shadow integration weaponized in reverse. They've studied your light side, your care, your loyalty, and built a control mechanism out of it. Machiavelli observed, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But the guilt anchor operator inverts this entirely. They make you fear losing their love. And that fear becomes compliance. Think about the last time you felt guilty for something that, in any objective analysis, was simply you taking care of yourself. That guilt was installed. It was a designed response. Not a true one. Tactical response. Separate guilt from responsibility. Real responsibility means you've genuinely harmed someone through negligence or cruelty. Guilt means you've violated an expectation they set unilaterally. Know the difference. They are not the same thing. Externalize the guilt language. When you hear, "After everything I've done," or, "I guess I just don't matter to you," say this internally. This is a control mechanism. Name it. Label it. Naming dissolves the power of the trigger. Implement the 24-hour rule. Never respond to guilt deployment in real time. Wait 24 hours. In that window, the emotional charge drops. Your clarity returns. Respond from strategy, not from flood. Test their guilt for conditionality. A genuine expression of hurt is open to dialogue. A guilt anchor resists resolution. If you offer genuine understanding and repair and they still escalate the guilt, they don't want repair. They want compliance. Pause this video right now. Think of one person in your life who consistently makes you feel guilty for protecting yourself. Just one. You know who it is. Now keep watching. Because what comes next is how you surgically remove their access. You've seen the traps. You've identified the operators. But Principle 6 is why you kept falling for it over and over. Because they had something you didn't. And what they had, you're about to take for yourself. Principle number 6. Information asymmetry warfare. They knew more about you than you knew about them, always. Here is the single most overlooked dynamic in all power relationships. Who knows more? Not who is smarter. Not who is stronger. Who has more intelligence on the other person? The answer, in almost every case where you were manipulated, was them. They knew your insecurities before you named them. They knew your trigger points before you mapped them. They knew your history, your patterns, your deepest needs. What? Because they studied you. While you were busy trusting them. While you were being open and vulnerable and authentic, they were cataloging. This is information asymmetry. And in every military campaign, every political overthrow, every market disruption, the side with superior intelligence wins. Sun Tzu said it in 500 BC. Every intelligence agency on Earth operates on this premise. Machiavelli built his entire framework on it. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. But we extend this further. The first method for identifying a predator is to ask, how much do they know about me compared to what I know about them? If the gap is large, You are on the wrong side of the asymmetry. Implement information rationing immediately. Stop volunteering personal history. Stop explaining your fears. Stop narrating your ambitions in detail. Share what is useful for them to know. Nothing more. Build your intelligence file. Start learning them. Ask questions and truly listen to the answers. What do they fear? What do they want? What do they need? Not to manipulate. To equalize the board. Deploy strategic vulnerability. Occasionally share something small and personal, but controlled. This maintains the appearance of openness while protecting your real architecture. This is what Machiavelli called maintaining the appearance of virtue. Create information dead ends. If you suspect someone is feeding intelligence about you to a larger network, give different people slightly different pieces of information. See which version surfaces elsewhere. The leak will identify itself. Ask yourself this question. What does this person actually know about me? And what do I actually know about them? Write it down. 2 columns. The imbalance will reveal the power dynamic in under 2 minutes. Information asymmetry is the engine of all manipulation. But principle 7, the one I promised you at the start, that's the nuclear option. That's the move that ends the game. The move they can't counter. Stay with me through the end. You've come this far. Principle number 7, the exit that destroys them. The most powerful move is the one they cannot follow. Every tactic we've covered, the favor trap, the false mirror, the slow bleed, the useful idiot frame, the guilt anchor, information asymmetry, they all share one fundamental dependency. They require your participation. The spider needs you to stay in the web. The hyena needs you to keep running so it can keep nipping. The false mirror needs your gaze to function. Every single power move in this video collapses, entirely collapses, the moment you remove your investment. Not your anger. Anger is investment. Not your explanation. Explanation is investment. Not your revenge. Revenge is investment. The exit that destroys them is built from one material and one material only. Sovereign indifference. Machiavelli wrote, "One change always leaves the way open for the establishment of others." But here is the deeper truth that Machiavelli understood and his students often missed. The greatest disruption you can introduce to a system designed to control you is your complete and unremarkable departure from it. Not with a speech. Not with a confrontation. Not with exposure. With a withdrawal of relevance. You become unreachable. Not hostile. Unreachable. You stop being predictable. You stop responding on their timeline. You stop being the creature they mapped. When a predator has studied your patterns, the most devastating thing you can do is simply change your patterns. The false mirror has no face without yours to copy. The guilt anchor loses all weight when you stop feeling guilty for your sovereignty. The covert contract dissolves when you refuse to honor debts you never agreed to. And here is what they will do when you begin the exit. They will escalate. They will become warmer. They will become colder. They will use other people to reach you. They will create a crisis that demands your involvement. This escalation is not a sign that you were wrong. It is the confirmation that the power move was real. Real relationships don't escalate when you withdraw for self-protection. Real relationships make space. The escalation is the proof. Stay the course. Execute the graceful fade. Reduce contact incrementally. Slower response times. Shorter replies. Fewer initiations. Let the connection thin naturally. Never explain the exit. Explaining gives them a door. Something to argue against. Something to address or neutralize. The silence is the strategy. Rebuild your identity architecture. Before you exit any controlling dynamic, you must know who you are outside of it. Reconnect with the version of yourself that existed before. Invest in that person aggressively. Prepare for the smear. When a power operator loses control of you, they often attempt to control the narrative about you. Expect it. Don't preemptively defend. Let your actions over time be the rebuttal. Install new asymmetry in your favor. You now know these moves. You can see them in real time. The person running the play is no longer invisible. You are now the fox who sees the trap. You are now the lion who knows the terrain. Let's account for what just happened. You came into this video carrying something heavy. A name maybe. A face. A situation you couldn't explain but felt in your body. And now you have language for it. The favor trap. The false mirror. The slow bleed. The useful idiot frame. The guilt anchor. Information asymmetry warfare. The exit that destroys them. 7 moves. 7 diagnostics. 7 tactical responses. Machiavelli did not write The Prince to celebrate cruelty. He wrote it to protect the unprepared. To say, this is the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. The world has wolves in it, and wishing they were something else has never saved a single lamb. The only protection is vision. The ability to see the move while it's still being set up. The ability to act before the trap springs shut. You now have that vision. But here is the warning. Vision without action is just sophisticated suffering. You can see every move and still lose if you refuse to act on what you see. The most dangerous person in any room is not the one running the most complex manipulation. It's the person who has chosen sovereignty, who has stripped their psychology of covert contracts, who has integrated their shadow, who takes up their full space without apology. That person is nearly impossible to manipulate, not because they're aggressive, not because they're suspicious, because they are full. There is no gap for the web to attach to. There is no hunger for the false mirror to feed. There is no guilt for the anchor to sink into. When you become full in yourself, the predators move on. Every time. Without fail. That is the promise of this work. Not revenge. Not superiority. Sovereignty. If this video gave you a framework you didn't have before, subscribe. Not as a gesture. As a commitment. We publish this kind of work every week. Machiavellian strategy. Dark psychology. The architecture of power in everyday life. You are the reason this channel exists. The person who refuses to stay naive. The person who chooses to see clearly. If this content hit you today, share it with someone who needs to see it. Not to alarm them. To arm them. And finally, in the comments below, right now, write the word sovereign. Not because it's a ritual. Because naming what you're choosing matters. Because the people who write that word are the people who mean it. And meaning it is the first step to living it. Write sovereign below. I'll see you in the next one.